Hello, good people. I am super excited that you have visited our YouTube page. This is Tutorials with Francis. Now, if this is the first time you are visiting this YouTube page of ours, you know what to do. Kindly like it, kindly share it, and just feel free to comment if there's any topic you want us to discuss on this platform. Why not? Feel free. We will take it up. So, for today, I am dealing with a topic that I have handled in the church and in a few other places. There has been the request for me to make a video on it, so that is why I am doing this. Good. Now, if you don't know me, I am Francis Ohene Anane, and I just like to teach. So you can just search for me on all the socials, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, or I'm not very active, but why not? You can just get in touch. Good. So today we are dealing with a very important topic, land acquisition, do's and don'ts in land acquisition. Now, if you have ever tried to purchase a land, especially in Accra, you would really appreciate this session that we are having. It is crazy, my people. It is crazy out there. You know, the way clients are being duped, it's just crazy. So if you have the intentions of purchasing the land, or you have purchased the land and you don't know where to move from there, this video is for you. Stay put and then enjoy. Good. So we are doing land acquisition in Ghana. What do you have to do? What don't you have to do when you are buying land in Ghana? Now, let me just say that the dealings of land in Ghana are not the same depending on where you are coming from. So in Accra, it's a bit crazy. At least in most of the developed, regions, it's a bit crazy. But I mean, outside, the applicable laws are a bit different. So for today, most of the concentration will be land acquisition in Accra. But however, all these regions are developing. So you may find some of the points useful wherever you are. So good. Now, before we talk about land acquisition, we will just throw a bit of light on what is land, because if you understand what is land, it would help you in appreciation of what we'll be saying afterwards. So I'm asking you, what is land in your understanding? What is land? So when I had let me say that anytime I have this discussion in church and you ask the folks what is land, you always get very, very interesting responses. Most of it are not. It's you hear some saying that it is the property that you inherit from your mother or your father or your family. You hear others say that is the land that we stand on. Well, they are all not too wrong. So what is I'm asking you now, before you continue watching this video, I want you to comment in the comment section. To your mind, what is land? Good. I'll be checking to see that. Now, in the simplest form, land is the land itself. Yes, I know it sounds strange, yes, but so I mean on the ground or the earth that we are standing in law. When we are trying to explain what is a land, we are talking about the earth's surface that we all exist on. We are talking about anything that is attached to it. So if there's any tree on it, we are talking about anything that is underneath the land. So in this space, we have in other literature, they even talk about trees, they talk about streams, they talk about snails, mushrooms, then minerals underneath the land, not necessarily minerals, but just anything underneath the land. So it could be gold, it could be diamond, it could be oil, and all the stones, all the rocks that are underneath the land, they form part of the land. And in other literature, you also see that anything above the land, but in that, it has to be up to a certain limit. So, of course, you cannot claim ownership of the airspace that is used by aeroplanes. You would imagine the number of litigation we would have if that's allowed. But a sizable space above your land, the assumption is that that space is also for you. That is why if you are living with your neighbor and your neighbor has, say, mango, and then the branches of the mango, tilts into your area, in law, you are allowed to, complain about it for your neighbor to do something about it, because the assumption is that that airspace, at least up to the roofing and a bit higher up there is for you. But guys, I'm saying that in the skies that are used by, the planes and whatnot, it is not owned by individuals. So please know that, so you don't go out, suing governments for, aeroplanes passing over your houses. So the question I normally ask is that, are the roofing sheets parts of the land? Now, before we answer this question, another point that I want us to note is that to determine whether a structure forms part of the land, we would have to ascertain whether if we remove that structure from the land, does it affect the integrity of the land? So let's say a standing fan. If I move a standing fan from a room, will it affect the integrity of the land? No, it wouldn't. But if I remove the windows from the building, it affects the integrity. If I remove the roofing sheet, it would affect the integrity of the house sitting on the land. If part of the building is broken down, it would affect the land. It would devalue the land. So anything that would, so simply put, just so that I'm not too legalistic, so everybody appreciates what I'm saying. Anything that would devalue the land or that would affect the integrity or the nature of the land is deemed to be part of the land. So the iron, rods, the beams, they all form part of the land. The trees, they all form part of the land, because if you uproot a tree on the land, definitely it would affect the nature of the land, or the minerals underneath the land, they all form part of the land. So mostly if it's a movable, object, it ordinarily won't form part of the land, but sometimes it will be based on the case, because someone was a friend. No, not a friend. It was actually a colleague was making reference to, say, a genset built into the land. So if a genset is built into the land, does it form part of the land or not? Unless the argument can be sustained that if you move the genset from the land, it would affect the integrity or the nature, or would devalue the land. Other than that, it would not be part of the land. So anytime you want to determine what is land or what is not land, this is what you look out for. That is why if you purchase a land from a landowner and you erect a very beautiful building, and the land was leased to you for, say, 50 years. After 50 years, the landowner will be taking his land, but technically will be taking the land and the property that you built on it, because it forms part of the land. So even though the landowner will say, I want my land back because the lease has expired, in essence, you will be giving back to the landowner the land, and then the house on the land. So you see, and you can't go saying that I built the house, so I'm breaking it down. No, once you break it down, it would affect the nature or the integrity of the land. So that is how, and these things normally work. I've tried to make it as simple as possible so that we can all appreciate. It can be complicated at times, but I mean, simply put, that is how it is. So can the instruments be labeled as part of the land? So with this, I was referring to the instruments in the church. I mean, these things cannot be said to be part of that because they can easily be moved and they won't affect the nature of the land. So I hope this point helps you guys to appreciate what land is. Now let's quickly zoom into the do's in the acquisition process. Now, good. The first point which I normally point out is that you have to identify the land. You have to go and see the land for yourself. You cannot be purchasing land in Accra and only be relying on pictures that were sent to you. That is very crazy, guys. Extremely crazy. Go onto the land, see the land for yourself. At best, be exact on the coordinates of the land. So be sure that the land moves from 0.1 this to this. I mean, just be sure what the coordinates are. In fact, normally we even encourage that you take your own surveyor onto the land to capture the coordinates, just so that all the parties are sure that we are talking about this particular land. Because there are times where a seller will show you a particular land with a certain document. When you go onto the land, you will notice that the document that's in the site plan attached to the document and the coordinates in the site plan does not match where the land is. So if you don't go out there to see the land for yourself, you may have purchased a particular land, but it will not be what was shown you. So you need to be extra sure that this is the particular land that I am buying. Be clear on the exact location. And also, let me also add, you need to know the boundary owners. Clearly, your land is not in isolation. There may be other, landowners or other tenants or whatever who may have built around your land. Find time, just go and ask. So who sold this land to you? I'm buying land from this person. It's he or she, the same person who sold it to you. Where do I find the person who sold to you? Just make some inquiry, because you are making serious investment here, and you just cannot afford litigation. Well, for me as a lawyer, litigation may be good, but most of it, it is not worth it. And most of it, it is not worth it. At the time that we spend in court, and even the resources spent, most of it could have been avoided. So that is why we are doing this. So it is also good that at that early stage, you enter into a contract of, normally we call it a contract of assignment, or an agreement that binds the party that they are going to sell the land to you. Now, this is so because this sort of agreement would help you make the necessary checks whilst making sure that the land will be sold to you. Because without that agreement, there's really no restrictions on the landowner to sell to you. And there are times where you just need more time to conduct your searches at the Lands Commission and other areas to ascertain whether the land indeed belongs to the landowner. So normally what we will do is that we encourage the parties at the early days sign a form of agreement binding the seller to only sell to you, of course, with timelines and all that. And in such an agreement, you can even go ahead and pay, say, 25% whilst you go around doing the due diligence. This agreement normally helps you to at least tie the seller, and the land, so that they don't go selling to others, especially where the land is at a prime area and you can't afford. And also be wary where, in cases where the landowner, pest you to come and make payment because there's another buyer who wants to pay, say, double or more than. Be very wary, because most of it, and such persons are crooks. They are just smart, trying to find ways to take your money and run away. You are better off find another land than paying huge sums of money with nothing to show for. So guys, take note of that. Now the next point that we discuss here is also that check the identity of the person you are dealing with. This is so important. There are so many crooks in the system that have managed to scan areas and have managed to come out with areas where either the owners are out of the country or they are not really patrolling such land. So they just go out there, they manufacture and concord papers, and then they sell it to unsuspecting buyers without the knowledge of the actual owner of the land. So be very careful who you are dealing with. Make sure that you are dealing with the actual owner. Never deal with an agent. Never deal with the son of the owner. No, never deal with the uncle, the auntie. No, deal with the owner. If the person is deceased and you are dealing with a family member, make sure that there are letters of administration allowing the person to deal with the land. These things are very important. If after watching this video and you need any clarity, just comment in there and I would come and address them. These things are very important. Once again, monies are hard to come by these days, so you just cannot afford to waste your whole investment on a land that is nowhere to be found. So preferably insist on a national ID. So you can insist on a passport. So nowadays we have the Ghana card or the voter's ID. Just try to put in someone to make sure that you are dealing with the person, because you just cannot afford to miss it, to be dealing with a crook who will just run away with your money. So identify the owner. This is very, very, very important. Good. Good. Now, good. So where your grantor or where the document shows that the land was purchased from another person, be sure to ascertain who that other person is. Be very sure to ascertain who the other person is. So if you are buying from a landowner who also purchased from another party, try and then trace it in the recitals. Be sure that so when I say recitals, I am talking about normally the narrations in the land document that tells you where the land moved from. So normally it could have moved from the Osu chiefs to one Mr. Francis, and then Mr. Francis also sold to you. So just be sure that the recitals are correct. Just try. Nowadays, Lands Commission are doing extremely very well. So you can go to Lands Commission and then check if all the names of the persons who were the previous owners of the land actually had title to it. If you go to Lands Commission and it's not possible, just try, find a way. I mean, nowadays, almost anybody buying land would want to make sure that the owners have actually registered their title, unless maybe the land is far off that, or it's in a very remote area that you cannot have that. But even with that, if it is not in the books of Lands Commission, just go into the land, go to the family, whether they know this party to be the owners of the land. Just trace it and then make sure that you know who the previous owners of the land were. Now, still on the do's. Get a lawyer, guys. I mean, there are so many pocket lawyers out there, trying to understand what these documents are. Trust me, you don't. Get a lawyer to go through the document, review the title. When I say the title, review the owners who have been the owners of this document for you, so that you are sure that you're actually buying from the right person. Also, I keep on telling my people in church, insist on original documents. Don't take photocopies. Make sure you get the originals and then make photocopies for yourself. If they have registered as at Lands Commission, do yourself the favor, either contact the state or try to get the original copies, see them for yourself, and then make photocopies. Because it's possible whoever you are dealing with is a crook, is an agent, and had the opportunity to make a photocopy of the originals and is selling without the actual owner. So please be very, 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 very careful. Be very careful. And also there are times where, some areas where the title of the owners are statutory declaration. So statutory declaration, so what I mean is that the family just, makes a statement that we, the family of Osu, are the owners of all the land in Osu. And then on the basis of that, they go and register. So you have to review the document to know whether that is the case, or maybe there's a judgment on it, or whatever. I mean, every land would trace its title from somewhere. So it's either the chiefs with a statutory declaration, or it's a judgment, or it's been based on indenture after indenture, or a lease document after the other. Just make sure to satisfy yourself. And also, I've already mentioned it, review the capacity of the seller. Make sure the person selling is the one who can sell. If not, you are in serious trouble. You can also check, especially in the developed areas, check whether there are any restrictive covenants. Now, what this means is that, there are certain areas of town that you can't even build certain houses there. You can't use the land for a particular purpose. And you know that in our area, just that sometimes the enforcement procedures are a bit on the low. Almost every land is demarcated, or the areas in or the lands in certain areas are demarcated for certain purposes. So make sure that you are not buying a land from an area where you can only build, that is for industrial purposes. Make sure that it is mixed or it is only residential, because if you buy a property wanting to build, a residential, premises at an area that is demarcated for industrial, industrial buildings, you just know what would happen. You really put yourself in a lot of problem. In such a case, what you have to do is go to the assembly, the special guide, the land and special development guide, so that they would either change that area into a mix. But that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of stress. We have to going up and down at the assembly, to make sure that these things are checked there. The town and council development, planning guys. Yeah, if you go to the assemblies, they are there. They would have to come and do that, but that is a lot of stress. So why don't you check that before you pay serious money, so that you don't buy a land wanting to build a warehouse and you inform that it is only for residential purposes. So check that. Once again, your searches at the Lands Commission, I'm thinking this is pretty straightforward now. I mean, now thanks to what is happening at the Lands Commission, they've managed to merge their system. So when you conduct a search, now what happens is that the searches are done in all the other areas. So it's not as if you conduct a search at PVLMD and then you don't conduct a search at survey and mapping, and then some other party goes and register at survey and mapping, and you also register at land title. So you have two persons registering at different places. Now what happens is that when you conduct a search, it passes across all the other divisions. So you're a bit safe. Now things are getting better, at the Lands Commission. So try and then conduct a search. Now I know all that I'm saying seems to be a lot of work, a lot of money, but guys, the stress in court is one that you just cannot imagine. And the heartache is one you can't imagine, because you just cannot, phantom having to spend all your investment on the land, spend the next 5 years in court, only to be told that the land does not belong to you, or you don't have ownership to the land. And after all this time, you have been paying your lawyer, serious legal fees and out-of-pocket expenses, all the filing fees and all that, and to be told that the land does not belong to you because whoever you bought from, they didn't have title. It is not an experience that I want you to go through. So please just, try and go through the mail and then make sure these processes are covered before you find yourself in trouble. So someone will say, how do I conduct a search? We are talking about search. How do I conduct a search? Normally, the process is simple. You go to Lands Commission, you just send an application to the office. Then you have to attach a copy of the site plan. So I'm sure by this time, the surveyor would have come onto the land, captured the coordinates, or the landowner would have given an indenture with a site plan that has the coordinates. You make a copy of that site plan, you attach it to your letter. Sorry guys, then you go to Lands Commission and then you conduct your search. As I said, it is very necessary that you confirm the coordinates for yourself. Make sure that the coordinates that you are sending to Lands Commission is the same on the land. Because if you send a different coordinates to Lands Commission, based on that search or on that site plan will tell you where your land lies. So if it's not the same as on the grounds, you have done yourself a disservice. So please and please make sure that the surveyor on whose site plan we are relying is a good one, so that whatever such information comes out from the Lands Commission, you know that it is the same. Good. Now, where the land is also registered, you can also conduct a search, at the land title registry to make sure. So as I even mentioned, you don't even need to do separate searching. Now, just a search at the Lands Commission, will cover all these 3 areas. So then again, now this is, for very serious investments. This is something, of course, I know you guys are saying this is a lot of money, but at best, you may even need to conduct a search at the Environmental Protection Agency just to make sure that that area is not either waterlogged, it's not a protected area, it's not a Ramsar site or whatever. Because you know that certain areas are protected by, EPA. So you just want to make sure that where you are actually buying the land is not one of these areas. So as I was saying, you cannot even apply to the land use and special planning authority, as I was mentioning earlier, the town and then the country planning guys. They normally do the rezoning, but guys, do all these things before you pay for the money, because you just can't afford to make serious investment only to be told that you have to come and rezone, have to make payments to these guys. It will take a lot of time, a lot of paperwork and all that, when all these checks could have been done. So, I mean, I know if it's one plot, I'm not sure how much I'm buying that one plot, but having to go through all these processes, I will tell you, it is better you spend this much, make sure your land is safe, and you have your peace of mind, than to just go ahead, pay for the one plot, build your house, and then come and face these challenges in the future. I would always say this. And in fact, you can even conduct, searches like the registrar general to be sure whether, it's been, your land has been secured by a mortgage. Even at the collateral security, you can even check. Now, others may even go and check at the High Court, to be sure whether the land is not a subject matter of litigation. Now, this is important if you are buying land from, the litigated areas where there are always litigation. I don't want to mention names here, but there are certain areas that they are always in the court. One chief dies, the other comes in, or then another family comes in there. This family, you guys know. If you are buying a land from such area, if you had done your due diligence, ask around, you would have been told that the lands here are hot and there are a lot of litigations on them, so be careful. So if you are buying a land from such an area, depending on how good the documents may be, your best bet is also to check the court and to make sure that, they are not a subject of litigation in court. Else you are clearly buying into litigation, and you just don't want that. Now, some of the schools, in Accra have tried to regularize their documents. So they even have, the areas and who lives where. So when you even go there and you connect the searches, they can tell you who the land was sold to. They can actually give you a history. They can actually give you a history. I'm told the Gbawos too. Yeah, the colleague was telling me the Gbawos too. They do very well with their documents. I can't say for the others. So some of these tools are doing very well. Their documentations seem to be good. So when you go there and conduct a search, they can tell you, something about the land you are buying within their two lands. Then again, you need to consult a lawyer. There are too many pocket lawyers. You deal with these chiefs and then they would give you an indenture they've been using over 100 years. The same indenture, they just change the name, so many mistakes. You don't understand the clauses. Some of the clauses, they don't even understand them, it themselves. Guys, just get a lawyer to draft this document for you. And in fact, now in the Lands Act, only a lawyer can actually draft a document that covers a land, but you still, find our chiefs, sharing indentures, printing indentures, and then only changing the name without even understanding the clauses in them and what they mean. And so there are so many scary indentures out there, and you have unsuspecting, buyers not knowing what they've bought into, because there are so many strange clauses. They themselves don't understand it, and the chief that are giving it to them don't understand it. If you are buying it from a chief and they give you an indenture, just find a lawyer, let the person review it for you to make sure that everything is intact. So then again, now these are some of the red flags that you need to note. Don't pay the full consideration before doing your due diligence. I've already said, don't pay the full consideration at least, or don't pay the full amount. So at best, pay 25%. And then, that in itself amounts to a part performance. So at least you have shown, an interest to buy the property. In the event that the purchaser tries to, do anything funny, at least you can bring an action against the other party. Don't also take for granted the persons or the things you see on the land. You are buying a land. You go to the land, you see pepper, tomato, these, vegetables and stuff planted on the land. And you think they grew by themselves. No, clearly someone planted them. So make sure that you know the person who planted them, because it's possible someone might have also, paid consideration for that same land. And you're also going to pay for it. And because, you weren't diligent enough to ask who planted the pepper and the tomato on it, you may have bought yourself, a litigation land. So there are coconut trees on them, cassava, pepper. These things don't grow. So they don't grow naturally. Definitely someone will grow them. So be sure to know who, planted them on the land before you move on. Or you go onto a land and then there's a caretaker on the land and you're dealing with someone else. Be sure to find out from the caretaker who the owner of the land is. Then again, don't trust all the caretakers. Some of them are crooks. They can just, connive with another, crook, and then they will just, sell you a story that they know who the owner is and the owner have allowed them to sell the land. So just don't take the word of the caretaker. But if you go on the land and then there's a caretaker, it just tells you that there's an owner. So if the one selling to you is telling you that the land belongs to them, but does not know who the caretaker is, please be warned. Then again, do not deal with agents. Agents are not landowners. They are not. Unless the owner of the land has told you that, one, you can deal with my agent or you can deal with this. Agents are not owners of the land. Please be wary of them. Be very, very, very wary of them. So if at best, meet the landowner. Even if you are dealing with the agent, try and meet the landowner for yourself to be sure that you are dealing with the proper person and not another rogue who just want to, get your money and then run away. So it is better you lose your 25% paid than to buy into a litigation, already have paid the consideration and pay for another 5 years in court. You just do not want that. Then again, don't also accept these documents that were not signed in your presence. It is better that all the parties meet on a day so that you all sign. Because it's possible, with some of these chiefs, they have, rogue sons and daughters, they would procure the document and then sign it and bring it to you, telling you that it is their father who signed it. Sometimes you also sign thinking that you have a valid document, only to be informed that the father, who is the chief or the landowner, has actually no idea who signed it, or is not even aware that that property has been sold. So you would really want to be very careful. Make sure that the documents are signed in your presence. In fact, another advice a colleague lawyer gave was that even if it's possible, take pictures on the day of execution. Take pictures, because some of these guys will sell the land to you and then they will come and deny ever selling the land to you. You just do not want that. Take pictures, take video, take these things very serious, because you cannot afford the litigation that it comes with. Good. So on the next slide, I will deal with it at a different time, which is the Land Act on Spousal Property. That is another section that I will talk about. But for now, we just want to conclude on the do's and then the don'ts. So guys, as I said, if you follow the few steps that I have narrated, I hope they were clear enough. If I made a point that is not clear, just comment it. I will do well to do a short video on that just for you. So I hope these points have been helpful. Just follow them. I know they also seem a bit expensive, but it is for your own good. You do not want to buy into litigation. So guys, thank you very much for watching this. Once again, if this is your first time, kindly like the page. This is important to me, guys. Like the page, share it, comment, just do whatever you want to do, guys. Let's get interactive. God bless you, and then take care. Bye.